Welcome to the Irresistible Workplace Initiative podcast, the place where leaders come to learn how to create a workplace where people would be crazy to leave. Join your hosts, Holley Potts and Tony McConnell, as they serve up stories, strategies, and real talk that you can actually use today. Let's get into it.
Welcome back to the Irresistible Workplace Initiative podcast. I'm Tony McConnell here with Holley Potts, and today we're going to explore some core values, and we're going to get right into it because there's a lot to unpack here, and we have both kind of came to the conclusion that most of life's ups and downs are caused by mismatches of core values or misalignments of core values.
Yes. I think it's an interesting topic because everybody has core values, and I would venture a guess that most people could not tell you exactly what they are.
Yeah. And a lot of times organizations, will have core values that are on the wall, but then they have the other core values that nobody really explains, but they're the things that the leadership holds.
That's right. The unwritten rules.
Unwritten rules, that sometimes are contradictory to the written rules, the ones that are stuck on the wall somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's two ways of looking at them. I guess we can look at our personal core values and then the organization core values and how those two, for a leader, intertwined in a lot of ways. Yeah. I think people see core values on a poster on a wall or on a website or whatever, but how many people do you think can really name what their company's core values are?
I probably can't on any given day, but I also have some short-term memory loss because I'm getting to that age. But no, core values are, everybody thinks you got to have them, but are they just something that you do and that you make a mission statement, core values? And of course, sometimes that stuff is way overrated. If you don't live it, it's just way overrated, and it's just a exercise in futility. But if you have a good set of core values, less being more, and you hire and you fire and you make all your decisions on clients and you make all your decisions on promotions and so forth based on that, you can be really strong. Mm-hmm. But it just takes really adhering to it, but also starting out with a good list of core values. And you got to make sure they align. If you're a business owner, small business owner especially, and your personal core values don't align with what you say your company's core values are, well, which ones you think are going to win out most of the time?
Exactly. Or cause you a whole ton of stress.
Yep.
I remember the first time I saw a person get let go because of not fitting a core value, and the way that impacted everybody else in the company was pretty strong, because I think up until that point, everybody knew, these are our values and this is what we say is important, but when that person was let go and somebody said, well, why? Well, because they were missing the core values. Then it was sort of like, everybody had to step it up and go, well, do I display those?
Yeah. And it's also, with that particular situation, there was a question to come out, goes, well, why did it take so long?
Yes.
If you're really, which is good in a way, because it's bad that it took so long, but it's good in a way that at least the other employees there at the company actually knew what the core values were, and they knew that this person didn't display all or some of them. Yeah,
I think it took a lot of courage to move on it, and then it's gotten easier since then to make those kind of decisions. But I can remember, I guess I can just talk about my core values for a minute, or the first time I started thinking about those things. I mean, we've all probably seen a list on an 8x10 piece of paper, circle these things that are most important to you. Yeah. And you have words like integrity and honesty, and what do you call those?
They're the pay to play. That's what EOS calls them, pay to play. Is like if you're in business and your core value is written down as integrity or honesty, that's a pay to play, because if don't have integrity and you're not honest, you shouldn't be in business.
Right. So I think the core values we need to get more specific with them.
Way to the deeper side. You don't want to get so far that you put in core values that you can't meet. Yeah. The aspirational ones, you don't want that. You want some that you are achieving. And, it's like the EOS model of when you're determining core values is, you look at the people that you would love to replicate. You're like, if I had 10 of this dudes, I could take over the world.
Yes.
If I had me 10 Big Steves, I could take over the Middle Tennessee's construction industry.
And people's values are what they are.
Yeah.
It's not that yes, people can grow into some things, I suppose, but when you're hiring somebody, they're probably either going to be a good fit for those values or not, just based on what they're like, what their upbringing is like. There's a lot of things that play into it.
You can teach a lot of the skills, the hard skills, but the core values you can't.
Yeah. They're just there. Yeah. They're there. And they come from different places in our life. Like I said, they come from influence and our upbringing or something that we just found we were passionate about and we grew on our own.
Or what's valuable to you.
Yeah.
Are you motivated by money? Are you motivated by other things, outside or internal things? So,
So I did a core values exercise several years ago, and it's the first time I found this little free one online. It was really good. And it basically ranked, I think it was 14 core values. And once I saw what they were, man, it was things I wouldn't have listed. If somebody had just stopped me on the street and said, hey, what's important to you? I probably would have said, family and this and that, But really it said things like, the test results said things like creativity, privacy, freedom, a meaningful life, a world of beauty, some things like that. Yeah. And I was able to look at those and go, because what I realized, I'll use privacy for an example. I would have never named that as a value if I hadn't been on a test or on a list. I can be a private person, but what I realized at that time in my life is that I wasn't giving any attention to that value. So I was way too busy, and I didn't have any of that quiet, contemplative time that I needed. So that value, it was causing me stress because I wasn't acknowledging that it wasn't getting met. Does that seem to make sense? It's like, man, if I hadn't have done that test, I wouldn't have realized why I was so stressed about it. But it's because my core value of privacy just wasn't getting met through getting time to myself, solitude, I'll call it. Not isolation, but just solitude. And same thing with creativity. I mean, there's been seasons in my life where I like to paint. I like to do music, I like to, I've even written some poetry here and there, but oftentimes I don't make time in my life for that. Yet it came out as one of my top core values. So when I took that little free online test, I was like, no wonder I'm feeling some stress in my life because the things that are important to me are not getting the attention that they deserve.
You had some misalignment of values.
I did. I was doing other things. Or maybe I had other values that were important but were getting too much attention, because it had to, or a certain season of life requires it. And so, I don't know, it was real insightful to me. So then I started in coaching sessions with people. I found a little card deck, and it had 57 different values on it. And I've got some of them here, just things we wouldn't think of, again, like, let's see here, a varied life, or the value of daring, or the value of social order, family security, protection of the environment, helpfulness, true friendship. Like, it was just such a neat, you can find all kinds of values card decks out there, but I liked this one. It had 57 different ones, and it put them in categories like influence or social power or self-direction, benevolence, stuff like that. And so I started doing these with people at work, and you start with 57, and it's a little over. You've done it, right? So when you start with 57, how do you feel at first?
40 minutes ago.
Yeah. but that was our second time to do it. So, you hand somebody 57 cards, and you say, okay, I want you to divide these up and put them in the must-have and meaningful. What they don't realize is you're going to take the meaningful ones and just throw them out.
Yeah, that gave me some anxiety when you grabbed that stack.
I grabbed it
I
away.
thought I was going to get to choose some between, but you grabbed
I grabbed the meaningful
stack away from me, and I'm like, oh, man.
We got to narrow it down because you really can't live out of more than, I'd say, 10 to 15, that you really have time in your human body to give attention to. So
you should be like, okay, which ones would you die for or kill for?
And you can narrow them down real quick. He'd be like, I only have 5 now. But really, I mean, it's hard for people because they're all important things. And I always tell people, too, because you can see people start to judge themselves.
Yeah.
Like they've got this stack and they're like, what's she going to think if I put, helpfulness over in the throwaway pile, or I put
Well, what if I put social order over here?
Over here,
I don't want my
exactly.
misalignment because we don't have much social order.
One of my favorites, people self-indulgence as a value. Like somebody, I've had some people keep that one and be like, "Is that okay?" Like it's neutral. It's not a good or a bad. It just is. It just is. Hedonism, that was the category on that one. Had enjoyment of life, or a varied life, or an exciting life, or however you want to call it. Because some people would see that card that says an exciting life and they would keep it every time, and others, they don't like that. They're like, I want it to be the same every day. I'm going to put that card over here. So, watching people do that over coaching sessions has been really interesting, because I can see people wrestling with what really is important to them. And what you might say is important might not be what your actions are actually showing either. So one of the questions I like to ask, and I think I ask you, if you looked at this set of words and these set of values in the past couple weeks, have you spent any money toward it? Have you spent any time toward it? Have you thought about it?
Yeah.
And if you hadn't spent money, time, or thoughts on it, it's probably actually not
a real core
value.
a
real core value. It might be meaningful, might be a good thing, but for you,
but you're not going to kill for it or get killed for it.
Exactly. That's a good way to narrow it down, for real. So, and that tool, when I've used it with people, have given them a chance to say, this is what I need in my life to make it feel the way I want it to feel. And, a couple people at work that I've done it with have kept something like wealth. And what they didn't realize was they never thought they would keep that one. But when they went through the process of narrowing it down, it's like, wait a minute, that is important to me, where some people aren't as driven. And then some people would say, for me, wealth really does mean money. And others would say, no, for me, wealth means sort of the enrichment of time and get to do what I want, freedom. And so you sort of have to interpret what it means to you, each one. There's different ways of looking at it. And you can find lists and lists and lists,
So when you're working with an organization, like, we work with the organizations at our table, and I know we're going to be discussing, depending on when this comes out, we're going to be discussing developing personal and organizational core values. What things do you like to start with for the organizational? Or do you like to start with the personal first?
I like to start with the personal, just because I think if someone is an entrepreneur and they've created a business, there's no way they're going to create that apart from their personal values, at least in its intention in the beginning. Now, where it may end up, once they build a team and add certain goals, they may find it starts to drift away from their values. And I think that's important that they say, wait a minute, let's check this. Because the business is truly an extension of them and their team. And so their closest team, they want to share a good number of core values with. Because if you want to see a clash happen, in politics or anywhere else in the world, the clash happens between values. What you think is important, what I think is important, and if those don't match up, we can either work through it or we can fight about it.
I think one thing you could do as an organization, especially if it's a mature organization that's been around for a long time and it's had a very good workable set of core values that haven't changed, that are really fit for the organization. And as the owner or leader, you start, because I think people's, we have the core values probably don't change a lot, but I think the priority or the core values, even this morning when we were doing mine, I said, I think some of mine have changed
over time,
probably in the last 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
And I think all you can do then is just, because it's working for the organization and yours are working for you, is you have to maybe reevaluate your role in the organization and see, is there a place where I will fit better in the organization and I can find a better who to come in and do the rest.
That's really good.
So you don't have to change your core values, and you don't change the company's core values, because especially if it's in a mature company that's been around, if it's working, it's working. Don't fix what ain't broken.
I agree. So I think the question is there stress being caused? And that's how you know there's a value misalignment or clash or whatever. I love how you said maybe find a different role that suits you, because, yes, if it grows past a one sole owner, You're going to bring other values to the table from other people, and what works. But if it gets so far away that it causes disagreement and misalignment, that's where a person needs to go, okay, what is my role? Or is this mine anymore? Or maybe I'm ready to sell this, hand it off, do whatever, and pursue something else. So, but I don't know. I just think one of the reasons I like to start with personal is because people struggle to articulate what the values are. And I think once you see it in your own life and you're like, okay, I'm not giving any attention to this value, it's going to help you see it in your business quicker, or it's going to help you see when someone is not fitting it as well. Mm-hmm. So
I think, in hiring, using the core values in hiring, which, our organization does, on a recent hire that they had, I was like, okay, is she going to be a good fit? Yeah, her resume is awesome. She's got the work experience. And I was like,
that's not what you're
asking. Is she going to be a good fit?
Yes.
Where does she hit on the core values and our culture? I keep seeing this thing and keep reading it over and over again. And successful organizations, it's like, we hire for cultural fits.
Yes.
And then we worry about the other later.
Yes. And the hardest part I've had with that whole process, especially we've redefined hiring and made it a pretty good predictive hiring process, is how do you know that somebody actually is going to display the values versus just telling,
momentarily display the values.
Or like you show them your values and ask them questions. I mean, I think maybe the key is to ask the questions to get at the answer of the core value, Like, how can we, like, say at Dow Smith, it's passion, caring, hustle, and detail. Well, what kind of questions am I going to ask that person to see if they are detailed, to see if they're passionate, to see if they care, to see how they hustle? Because it's easy for anybody to say, yeah, this is important to me, sure.
I think a lot of it, too, you get, though, if you have a thorough enough conversation, I don't even want to call it an interview, just a conversation with somebody for a while with multiple people who are successful in the organization, because they've display and live the core values of the organization. I think you can go through the people analyzer and do the plus, minus, or minus on the core values to an extent.
Yeah. Let's talk about that EOS tool a little bit, because you led us through kind of for IWI of what it would mean for a group of people to say, what are our core values? So right now, if somebody's listening, and it's like blank slate, we think we have values, we've never said what they are. How does EOS recommend that you come up with core values?
Well, the biggest thing is you take and you look at your company as it sits, and you go, okay, or your organization. I say company, it's really organization, because everything we talk about will fit in a church, it'll fit in a nonprofit, it'll fit in a basketball team or a tennis team or volleyball organization. The thing you do is you look at and find, the people or the person there that if you go, if I could replicate this person's actions, this person's values, this person's behaviors, this person's carrying us, if I could replicate that into 10 or 20 people, I could take over my sector in my geographic region.
Yes.
If I could replicate me, it's like if I could replicate Cody, and have 10 of Cody's, what could I do in our market?
Yeah.
And that's what you do. And then you look and see what makes that person valuable to himself and valuable to you and valuable to, the public. Yes. And what makes that person, fill that niche that you need.
Right. And I think that's, of course, they decide the core values, I know, right shortly before I came to Dow Smith Company, but they picked maybe 3 or 4 of their guys that were like, man, if we had these 4. And then I can see where I could almost tell you which person displayed which value they came up with, like, oh, I bet that so-and-so was the detailed one, or the passionate one, or the one that hustled. And so, you take what you've already got, and then you capitalize on the best of what those people bring to say, this person gets it. Yeah. This person's making it happen.
And I gave a really quick answer to it. It's as you know, as we did it for Irresistible Workplace Initiative when we first started. It was a pretty long, painful process.
Yes.
You start out and everybody around not everybody in the organization, but everybody at the Pulse meeting, the Pulse Day, or not even Pulse Day. I guess this is when you're doing your discovery and so forth of yourself. And everybody comes up with a list, and you end up with a list of 20, 25 traits, and then you kill or combine them until you get it to where you want it to. And 3 to 7, less being more, really.
Yes, yeah. And I remember, some of the names.
And then you do everybody in the organ. First, you do everybody around the table that just decided those core values. You put those names up there, and you get to see the look of shock on each other's face when you're rating the business owner.
Yes.
You're rating your boss as to whether or not they fit.
Exactly.
That's how you go around it. Man.
Yeah. So you'd put your core values, you'd write them down, and we'd say, okay, does Tony meet these core values? We'll give him a plus if he does, a minus if he doesn't, and a plus minus if he's in,
Most of the time.
Most of the time. And then same for me. And that was, boy, I didn't know that was coming when we did that exercise. And
I knew it was coming, and I loved the look on your face.
I know. I was nervous about it, but it was very eye-opening to say, wait a minute, like, if this is what we want, am I displaying this? Yeah. Is this important, to me? Because I want to contribute to this thing. And, so it's not an easy process when you're working with a group, because there's a lot that you're trying to gather and reflect, but so worth it. Because then you're like, okay, this is who we are. This is the core of who we are.
And I think, with the core values and the hiring on core values, if you end up letting someone go or they leave because they're disgruntled or so forth, if you're really honest with yourself as an organization or as a leader, and you look back with just real clear-eyed, look all the way back to the hiring process, and you'll find in there somewhere that there was a mistake made probably on the values culture aspect of it. And sometimes that comes from, needing somebody, because the worst time to hire somebody is when you need somebody. Exactly. And that's what we most do, just because financially it makes more sense. But when you wait to the last minute to hire somebody, or you hire too fast.
Yes.
So there's a lot of ways to try to get it in there, and it's not a science though. It's an art, and there's a lot of failure involved.
Yeah. And I think our hiring process has gotten better as we've added more steps to it, because you really got to get to know someone a little bit to really see what their value system is like. But yeah, it's around the table. I think the reason why this topic has come up in my mind lately is we'll be debating an issue, and then we realize at the root of it is core values.
It's core value.
And so, and I've asked people before, well, what are your company's core values? Well, I mean, we kind of know them. I've heard people say, we kind of know. Well, what are they? Well, I mean, we kind of know them.
Do you really kind of know?
Do we really know them or not?
Yeah.
So I'm saying step one, you've got to define it. You've got to define it to know what you're looking for. You're not going to be able to hire that right person or and then once you've hired them, how would you say you look for the core values happening in day-to-day work? Like how do we check to see if we're in a right fit at that point?
Well, you just through feedback and and recognition. And one thing core values does is it really helps you determine what things to recognize.
Yes.
And what not to recognize. And you have to really be careful with core values, because a lot of times when they get put to the test is during growth, periods of growth, especially periods of really rapid growth. Mm-hmm. And we've seen that, DSC's seen that. They've seen, the growth, the rapid growth over times, but you just have to make sure you devolve back to the...
keep coming back.
Keep coming back, because
if
they're the core
values.
You can't say it too much. Nobody's ever left a place by being told something too many times. That's right. Being reminded of something too many times. It's like, I don't know which book, I think it was one of the Lencioni books. Maybe the motive is like, you're really not to chief executive officer, you're the chief reminding officer.
That's right. That's right. Remember when we were having one of our breakfast events and Cody came in, he had gotten caught up in traffic and he came in and you put him on the spot.
Well, we were talking about core values and Cody, he walked in the door. I go, hey, Cody, what are our core values?
And he knew.
He's taking his coat off. And,
He got him, man. I mean, hey, if we just had 4, you had 4 you had to know, but he knew them just like that. And I would say that we have said it so many times that most everybody can name those.
But you can't just say it. And I guess I kind of want to wrap up today talking about a negative. And I hate to wrap up talking about a negative, but it's also one of the things that just having core values written on the wall brings about is don't have different set of core values than what you have, what you say you have.
Yes.
Because if you got, what'd you say, caring, hustle,
passion,
and detail, if those are your core values, well, don't have something that contradicts that you hold people accountable to. Yes. You know, if I think I'm going to come in and I do all 4 of those, you know, great, I think I'm a plus on all of them or maybe a plus minus on one. Mm-hmm. Don't hold me accountable for something else that you personally find.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, it's your, you know, you can't, I guess what I'm saying is you can't, as a leader, impose all your core values on everybody if they don't know what they are. Yeah,
exactly.
You know, if one of mine is creativity, but I've got someone working for me who is not a creative person. Not everybody's creative. Mm-hmm. My wife being one, she's not a real creative person. I couldn't I couldn't go, well, you hadn't been creative enough in your job. Well, where's creative in there?
Yes.
I got some caring and I got some detail.
Exactly.
And I occasionally hustle.
Yes. And man, how much have we talked about expectation management?
Yeah, expectation management. And people will try to do what is expected.
Yes. Yeah.
But don't have second sets, unwritten sets of rules, unwritten sets of core values that, you really hold over everybody.
Yes. I'm trying to think of another example that could be, like when companies have an unwritten code.
Timeliness.
Timeliness.
What is timeliness to you and what's timeliness? Hey, when you get around to this, can you do this? Well, don't say, hey, when you get a chance, can you do this? And then come to me an hour later. You had a chance yet?
Right. Yeah.
Be open and honest and say, hey, this is the timeline. And that goes back into a whole nother conversation of, clarity and expectation management.
Yeah. But man, I love core values. I feel like we should set goals around them. We should manage stress around them. We should work better with each other, knowing what they are. Because if you define your own core values, I could sit down, we could compare ours. And we could see where we might have some clashes, or even within. Like, that's another interesting thing where I've seen somebody that had both humility and influence as a core value that they held.
Right.
And they were like, oh, I see how these two get me in a bind because, I want to be influential and I want to step out and lead, but there's this humility part that I've got to work with. I know it's important, but it causes me to hold back a little bit and be less influential, so it's interesting to see how we can have a struggle within about them, and certainly with our team members, and so the more we understand, it's one of those things like anything else, the more we understand each other and what's important to us, the more common ground that we can find.
Right.
Love core values. Recommend highly that you do them, and we can help. We can help anybody that wants to define their personal or their organization's core values feel good about it.
Yeah, I guess as we as we wrap up today, I just want to say, be intentional when you do your hiring, and be intentional when you do your firing, and be intentional when you set expectations, and reflect back when you have people issues, because we all think we got employees showing up, and what happens? Here comes some people's, and they all have their values, and we're not going to change their values,
right? And
they're not going to change their values. They may be able to change their values for a little bit of time, or mask the values. I don't even think you can hide them. I think you mask them. And we do the same, we all do it occasionally, but I think long term, for people to be happy and fulfilled, even fulfilled maybe more than happy, you've got to be working in a place where your values align somewhat.
Yes.
If they misalign, there's going to be some misalignment.
Yes.
Till next time, y'all have a great day, and let's go out and create some places that people be crazy to leave.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Irresistible Workplace Initiative podcast. Be sure to like, share, follow, subscribe, and leave us a 5-star review. We will see you on the next one.